We are Rogue Media Sports.
It's the Cam Show. It's Rogue Media Sports Network. It's up close and personal now. We are looking professional here in the Colt Brennan Memorial Studio, the 21st floor of the Alico Building, world famous Alico Building on this Wednesday. Boy, am I in a fucking mood today. It's really because the Boston Celtics are done. They're finished. No, it's actually because I hate most people and most things, and I have a lot of hate in my heart. But also, some prognosticators of doom are saying that the Celtics are done at 9-3. They lose to the Hawks in the prestigious NBA Cup last night, and now they have a real shot of not making it out to the knockout rounds of the NBA Cup. Damn it! Damn it! What are we gonna do if the Celtics don't make it to the knockout round of the NBA Cup? This NBA championship run will be all for naught. It'll be totally fucking useless if they don't back it up with the NBA Cup the next year. What kind of championship team is that? In the pressure moments this year, the Celtics have faltered. They lose to the Hawks in this group stage game of this thing called the NBA Cup. And I'm sorry, but I think any loss that comes on this court should not be allowed to be counted towards their record. Any loss that comes off of this should not be allowed. Keep this up. Look at this. I don't want to be the old man about this, but I have no choice. That thing is glowing, man. Like that's not easy to play on. You know, like there are certain optical illusions, tricks of the eye. Like you can't be playing on the same color court for 20, 30 years, some of these guys, and then just throw a green court out there. It's bullshit. And by the way, it's not just the Celtics. Obviously, the whole league has this. They had it last year. Philly's got this disgusting blue one. Charlotte's got like a hornet's nest blue one. It's. I know it's because I hate fun and I'm an old man, but that looks fucking weird, man. That looks weird. This looks like one of those fever dream episodes of SpongeBob. I'm telling you. It's like this glowing green thing. I'm not here for it. I'm sorry. Like, if you had told Red Auerbach, this is the most old man I'm going to get about this. If you had told Red Auerbach the Celtics are going to be wearing black uniforms on a green court at something called the TD Garden, which he did see the TD Garden. But if you told Red Auerbach they were playing on a green court with black jerseys on at home, he'd roll over in his grave. He would ash out the cigar on you if you said that. It just looks weird. I'm sorry. And again, just throwing out a cool-looking court, which some people might think it is not going to get me on board with the NBA Cup. And based on the Celtics' effort last night, whatever the incentives are for the NBA Cup is not getting them up for it either. Because they really couldn't care less in this game against the Hawks, which is not a good thing, but boy, did they mail it in against the team that was coming in at 4-7. And something called Dyson Daniels has a career high in 28 points. And by something called Dyson Daniels, it's the guy who leads the league in steals. The Celtics obviously still have the best defensive backcourt in basketball, but this, I think he's Australian, this Dyson Daniels kid is going off. Career high last night. He was part of the DeJounte Murray trade. They might have won that based off that alone. Dyson Daniels. He is Australian and was drafted 8th overall a few years ago. That also goes to show, once you get outside of the top 5, it's a complete crapshoot. And again, this kid's having a good year, so I don't want to say like, oh, he sucks, but like, who's ever heard of that guy? He's drafted 8th. Remember Frank Ntilikina, whatever the fuck his name was, from the Knicks? The top 10 pick. Nothing. Kevin Knox, top 10 pick by the Knicks. Nothing. You just don't remember these guys outside of the top 3 or 5. Ever. 8th overall by the Pels. went right into the league, played a little G League time. It was part of the DeJounte Murray trade, which the Hawks might have won. And you see the guys that were on the court for them that were killing the Celtics. I say "and" a lot in this show. You notice that? Does that bug you? It's starting to really bug me. I mean, obviously the word "and" is used a lot, but that what I just did that. And as I collect my next thought, whatever bullshit I'm going to spew next, I hate that.
It's not as bad as you think.
Thanks.
But you've recognized it, you're working on it, you're improving, Cameron.
Really hate that. I really hate when I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again. So the guys who were, maybe it's just going to be so now. Can I just get to the fucking room here? Jesus Christ. Fucking hell. I told you, man. Today. God damn. Anyway, Dyson Daniels out there scoring 28. Clint Capella is killing them. There's another big guy who I can't even pronounce his name is killing him. He gets the game-winning tip in. And notably, who's not out there on the court for the Hawks is Trae Young. And the Celtics ended his streak last week of it was like 70 straight games or something with double figures and points and 5+ assists or something. It was the longest streak in the NBA. They held him to 4 points. They killed the Hawks in Atlanta. He doesn't play last night. And that's becoming a theme against the Celtics the last few years. And the last 3 times the Hawks have played the Celtics without Trae Young, they've beaten the Celtics. All 3 times. Like, what the hell? He's supposed to be their best player. And I've never been a huge Trae Young fan. Obviously very skilled, but I think he's really regressed the last couple of years. And lo and behold, they go out and they beat the NBA champions on their home floor in a big-time NBA Cup game, no less, without Trae Young out there. And that got Bill Simmons talking, as Trae Young and a Celtics game are wont to do. They get Bill Simmons talking. But he was on his podcast. I listened to it this morning, and I should have screen recorded it because apparently, again, there's no 20-second audio of this anywhere. This is the second day in a row we've run into this, where there's all these stories written online about it, but no one has the fucking audio. But that's on me. That's on me. I listened to it this morning just because I listened to the Simmons podcast, and I didn't screen record it. And I was thinking about it about 15 minutes ago because I knew I was going to talk about it, and I forgot to screen record it. So that again, at the end of the day, that's on me, America. I'm holding my hand up there. That's on me. But I got it from, I'm going to read it from this article, the Atlanta Hawks on SI. It's one of these Sports Illustrated offshoot websites that covers a specific team. And I like getting stuff from this because I used to write for one of these. And it's a thankless job. But you get to say you work for Sports Illustrated. So, there's worse things in the world. And the headline is, Bill Simmons gives ridiculous Trae Young take after Hawks beat Celtics. Atlanta was without Trae Young in their 117-116 upset win over Boston last night. Can we call that an upset? Like it is. Don't get me wrong. The Celtics are better than the Hawks, and they should not have lost to the Hawks at home. But I feel like upset needs to have some stakes. Like we use it most often in the NCAA tournament because those have stakes. Like the Celtics are pissed off, maybe, but I don't think they're upset. If we're getting down to the
I feel like the cultural adoption of sports gambling writ large has led us to say that any team that is not favored in a given game can have an upset.
That's a bummer because that takes the juice out of the word upset.
I agree with your thought.
Because I don't like using that on a November 12th NBA.
Oh, I'm totally with you, but I think
of any
that's how we use upset now is what did Vegas say.
That sucks. Well, Bill Simmons went out on the podcast and offered up the solution for the Hawks of making Trae Young the 6th man. Because, and as I've seen it the last 3 times he has not played against the Celtics, the Hawks look a better team when he's not out there. It's just there's more movement, there's much better defense because the Celtics would just hunt Trae Young defensively, as would most teams. Defense looks much better. They're running, they're rebounding. They're moving the ball, even, without one of the best point guards in the NBA in Trae Young. And so from the eyeball test, it's like, yeah, this looks like a more competent team. This looks like a team that's young but not trying to tank. And when Trae is out there, it's like, oh, this is a team with one good player that probably just isn't going to win much, and so they'll get some draft capital out of it. Okay, Trae Young's doing an admirable thing by working with these guys almost. And that's not the case when he's not out there. They look like they're having fun. They're playing defense. They look competent. They shouldn't have beaten the Celtics last night, but they looked competent. They looked like a team that was going to be better than, the one that's picking in the top 6 or 8 and picked number 1 overall last year. So here's what Bill Simmons said. What if I offered you Trae Young 6th man? Just Trae Young coming off the bench. A heat check guy coming off the bench for us 22 minutes a game. Oh, you're not happy? Too bad. I don't know. I'm just trying to figure out outs for them because I think they know they are a team I saw last night, is the team they should be. And Bill, as he always does, goes into some great examples. What I think are great examples, but what the youngins that make up NBA, media, and audience are not going to. John Havlicek came off the bench. Kevin McHale came off the bench. Great players have come off the bench. Yeah, the big picture point is you have that thought like, oh, we'll find 3 teams for Trae Young. He's talking about a trade scenario, actually, in all of this. But there's so many point guards now, and everyone is so afraid of taking salary, I don't know what the move is. And as he's saying that first part, whoever he had on, I apologize, I don't remember who it was, is laughing like, John Havlicek, who's John Havlicek? And I know it's a funny thing to say now, but he's like a top 50 player in the history of the NBA. And the Boston Celtics all-time leading scorer. The all-time leading scorer for the most prestigious franchise in all of basketball. And like a 10-time NBA champion. So that's who John Havlicek is. And I know we could say that about Kevin McHale too, because look, he's a big gangly white guy, and he didn't know how to run an NBA franchise. Yeah, he's one of the best post-move guys ever in the history of the league. Ever. And he's also a top 50 NBA player of all time. And won 3 championships. That's who Kevin McHale is. Who's Trae Young? He's a guy who's picked high in the draft. He scores a lot of points sometimes, and his teams never win. And his teams look better when he's not out there on the floor. So who's John Havlicek? Not a guy you could say that about. Who's Kevin McHale? Not a guy you could say that about. Ever. Their teams were never better off when they were not playing. And that's what the Hawks are with Trae Young. And it's not even just against the Celtics. Like, this is going back a couple of years. Trae Young is obviously a very talented player. But I think what Simmons is looking for here is, what is a scenario where we're getting the most out of Trae Young, where he is giving the most to his team? And I don't know that it's being the guy who is the facilitator and the scorer. I don't think so. Does he have the talent to be a number 1 guy? Sure. But the proof is in the pudding here that when he's out there starting, they're a team that's picking number 1 in the draft. And Risa Shea was part of this thing last night, but he looked like the 3rd or 4th best player out there. Man, what a weird draft. But we knew that. It was such a weird draft coming through. The Hawks don't know what they're doing. Mike, this chair is really rickety. It might be a me thing. I might be getting heavy.
Your chair is rickety?
Yeah, I don't know if you can pick it up on the mic.
It's probably Pete.
It's fucking everything's Pete's
Yeah.
fault.
Yeah, I would think that's Pete.
And I agree with that 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Pete's going to be on the show later, and we'll tell him it's his fault. But again, I just say, whew, I can't get over the devastating loss. That does not knock them out of the NBA Cup, but certainly makes things difficult. Oh. Like, I know there was a lot of questions about Joe Mazzulla coming into last year and whether he could coach this team. And he wins the title, has the best starting 5 in the league by far. And now I'm wondering again, because here we go, first pressure-packed game after the NBA championship, and they're losing to the Hawks. The NBA Cup might be out of reach. Is it time to blow this thing up? Is it time to show Mazzulla the door? Maybe get Brad out of there. Is the ownership thing, is that looming over them as they are one step away from exiting stage left of the NBA Cup and are denying fans that moment, that silverware, that banner raising? which they did raise a banner with the Lakers. That is so embarrassing, dude. That was a once proud franchise. That franchise used to win NBA championships. And their last 2 banners they've raised, completely phony. Completely phony. And the other 2 were for rapists. But anyway, they raised a Mickey Mouse banner in 2020, and they raised the in-season tournament before it was called the NBA Cup, as we know it today, the Emirates NBA Cup, because that's what this thing needed. You want to get the soccerification of all this, which is what the NBA was going for the whole time. Throw Fly Emirates on there, throw them on, and then you're really European soccering it up. I think my plan from yesterday, Scotty, is gaining traction. My reason to fix the NBA Cup.
Yeah.
My ways to fix the NBA Cup. Because again, like, we're all, we're making a joke here, but like, what do the Celtics have for motivation in that?
Yeah, nothing.
Like, literally, who gives a shit? And I know with the way the schedule works, I don't think they actually play an extra game, but like, who cares? The glory of winning the NBA Cup and getting a few grand extra?
Or a banner, apparently.
Dude, do that with Atlanta. Do that with fucking Memphis. Honestly, there should be something for like non-playoff teams. If you didn't make the playoffs the year before you played it, something like that, I think can work out too. So we talked about it was the FA Cup and the League Cup is what they do in England and for English soccer. And there was a proposal a couple of years ago for the League Cup, which is the less prestigious of the two, that the big clubs really don't care about anymore until they get to the final. And it was like, why don't we just not do the top division teams? Why don't we just do everyone else? And it's a cool trophy for, these 3 lower level teams to win, And that's what I'm thinking about with the NBA Cup. Just take out the playoff teams.
In college basketball, we call it the NIT.
Yeah. The playoff teams, will play for the real one, okay? And you non-playoff teams, you duke it out for the NBA Cup. And if you want to, this will never happen. But if you want to do it like the NIT, you do it for like 2 weeks during the playoffs, and you just have the non-NBA team or non-playoff teams get there. Some of them might be non-NBA, the way they play. But you take the non-playoff teams in there. You make it quick, right? We're not dragging this thing out. We're not doing 7-game series. You make it like a quick round-robin tournament, and that does draft position.
Dude, and if
am I fucking brilliant? Should I be running this league?
And if you did draft position, everybody's gonna play for that.
Yes.
I mean, that's a prize worthy of.
You get
winning
a player interest. You get a fan interest.
Right.
You get a network interest. TNT and ESPN will be doing all the playoff games.
Yep.
And I guess TNT won't be doing it after this year. And then you could have someone else roll in there and say, you know what, we'll take the NBA Cup games.
And can you imagine the drama when someone like Wembanyama is coming out and,
yes.
and the number 1 pick is obvious? So it's not just I'm playing for a draft pick. It's like I'm playing for that guy.
To save our franchise.
Right.
And we're not going to do it by losing. We got this generational guy just sitting there who's going to be taken with the number 1 pick. And we're not going to suck our way to get there. We're going to suck for most of the season. But when push comes to shove, we're going to earn this guy.
Yeah, I like it.
Is it so easy? Is it that easy? It seems so easy.
Most things in life are more simple than billionaires make it.
There's going to be a point where we are seeing teams kind of punt the last week or 2 of the season to not get in the play-in. The play-in's fine. It does keep some more teams involved, but it's what? It's like a 2-game thing. The teams that win the play-in never really do anything. I mean, technically the Heat were a play-in team when they went to the finals, but they were the 8th seed. So they were going to be a playoff team under the old format. They were already the 8th seed. So it just doesn't do much for me. This NBA Cup can be something, but it's never going to be something for the the Celtics or just going off right now, it's not going to be anything for the Celtics or the Thunder or the Cavs. I used to lump the Lakers into that, but they've lost all their pride, lost all their goddamn pride. It's not going to be anything for those teams. It's never going to be a big thing for the big stars. And I know how weird that sounds when the one time they played that LeBron James won it. But trust me, with all the load management going on, they are not going to put out superstars to play in the NBA Cup on a night like last night where the Celtics got to go play a real NBA game tonight. Opportunity for a bounce back, but they didn't play well against the Nets last time. People are doing the think pieces now about the Celtics and how they're not the same from last year. And I'll give it to you. They have not played very well the last couple of games, but they just beat Milwaukee on the road. And they're still 9-3. Like, it's November 13th. Relax. I know there will be heartbreak in the city of Boston that they will not win the NBA Cup. Most likely. Not eliminated yet. But I know there's going to be a bunch of tumult around that, a lot of angst around that. And honestly, it might be driving away a new ownership group that's looking to buy the Celtics to not have that NBA Cup banner up there. Potentially. I have fixed the NBA Cup, and Bill Simmons and myself might have fixed the Atlanta Hawks as well. Mostly Bill. I'll give Bill the tip of the cap on that one, but I have saved the NBA Cup. It's just a matter of, as to whether Adam Silver will listen to me. That's all. Or they'll just keep pussyfooting around it, just making it this worthless treatment. So the Celtics, they're in a tailspin. But of course, as it's been all season long, the Bruins steady Eddie as one of the most impressive teams in the NHL. Don't look out now, but potentially here come the Boston Bruins. That's next.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. And that's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Welcome to a special edition of the Doomsday Podcast. Look at this. We got one of the great golfers in the world, certainly one of the great pass rushers in NFL history.
But he also had a vision for you. And so it was like you had the best of both worlds, right? You had somebody on you early, and then you had somebody who was maybe more relaxed.
What were a couple of your biggest takeaways? The person you referred to that I spoke with, I've spoken to some personnel people and general managers of the league to get some, independent, objective assessments of the players the Cowboys picked, and we'll go through that.
Has the general manager changed at all in the draft room?
Nope, it's been the same since I was here the last time.
It is a no context Wednesday. It's just some of these people I got to deal with. Not anyone here. Thank God, not anyone here. But just some of the dumb people I got to deal with day in, day out.
You can share how you talk about us outside of this room.
I don't have anything. I don't have any ammo. Mike knows. But I don't have any ammo for the people I work with here. It's the other places. It's, and I'm not the brightest knife in the chandelier, but golly, some of these people I got to deal with on a daily basis. It's like, I can't believe some of these people drive themselves to work or live by themselves without constant supervision. Mainly Mike,
Cam, would you like to read Mike's most recent text message?
Mike's most recent text message
Please
to us?
do.
Oh, I didn't see this.
This is like the second.
Stop taking my headphones.
Can we stop taking my headphones, please?
I said please.
The ones on my desk are personal ones.
Those are mine, right
If
there.
you
Sitting
need
there.
replacements, please get them from 12 or ask Bleep to
Matthew.
grab some. I don't want
I
to
said
reveal anyone's name.
That's what I'm saying, right? Where did the ones go that were in here? That's the root of this.
Mike,
issue,
you know what this is?
I walked in one morning and they were gone.
Yeah.
You're giving an inch, and
Yeah,
they're taking a mile.
yeah.
You're very
Yeah.
liberal with your stuff and letting people borrow it.
I
Yeah,
get it.
totally. I
Yeah.
steal his shit all the time.
He's got like 4 of your microphones still.
Yeah, Pete has 2 microphones in
One
his-
of them, in my defense, one of them's busted.
Well, one when I gave it to you. You son of a-
To my defense, I broke one of them. it's gone. It's gone. Oh, stop stealing Mike's shit. Damn it.
It's ours.
It's our shit, but stop stealing it.
Yes.
I like when Mike has to send us like group texts, but it's for one person.
Yeah.
Like somebody who does not work with us every day was being a dick to the security guy downstairs. So in our building, they know most of us, but
Right.
we are supposed to like check in and get a visitor's badge. But when he knows you, he just says, hey, you know, how you doing? And we're good to go. And there's someone who comes up here frequently, but not every day, who keeps getting asked for a badge and was apparently like, do you know who I am? And it's like, yeah, you're a guest on a podcast. Like,
Can you please?
it was just, I
guest
guess,
pass?
just being a dick to this guy. And so Mike has to send out a text to everyone that's like, hey guys, the security guards are nice people and they're here for our protection. Please don't give them sass when they ask you who you are and make you do a visitor's badge. So good, man. We had a
the insight into Rogue Network is happening.
oh, it's great. I love peeling back the curtain.
But Mike just might be too old to handle all this, by the way. Like I think like maybe,
Mike might be too old. He's got a hairline fracture right now.
yeah, he's just worried. He's got so much going on in his life, and he's not a spring chicken anymore. So I mean,
I will
it's-
defend Mike. There's far too much on his plate a lot of the time.
all
And
the
we
time.
talked about this last week. He's run into some really bad luck with employees. Should we save this for our segment?
Yeah, let's save it.
Let's save that. I want to do a little bit more peek behind the curtain and talk about the old security guard as well, who's no longer with us. Interesting fellow. Whew. Anyway, the Boston Bruins. Yeah, talk about spring chickens. Just like we all knew, you want to kill the Boston Bruins and you can't do it. They will not be killed. They will be damned if they are anything worse than mediocre. Damned! Because it looked bad last night. Oh boy, did it look bad. 2 periods down, and they're down 2-0 to one of the teams that's actually been performing worse than them, the St. Louis Blues. They're on the road. They haven't had a single third period comeback win this whole year. They have not won a game where they were down 2 goals all year. And it was done. They've given up 2 power play goals by the worst power play in the league. The only power play that's worse than you was them, and they scored twice in the second period on the man advantage. And it was ready. Everyone was ready. Fire Montgomery, trade a couple key pieces, fire Sweeney too. That's where I've been. And let's start this thing over, because we are just stuck in neutral and heading towards the cliff. And then the Bruins woke up. And then they scored 3 goals in the third period and won it in regulation. What the hell? Where did that come from? The goal scoring, where did that come from? Morgan Geekie, who was scratched the last 3 games because he stinks. He absolutely stinks. Charlie McAvoy, who has been on one heck of a bender the last couple of games and not the good kind, he scores a bullet goal. And then through all his efforts in that night, David Pastrnak deserved the goal, scores his first in 8 games to get the winner. It was one of his 10 shots on goal last night, and it squeaks through Jordan Binnington, who is not your slightly older brother's Jordan Bennington anymore. That guy stinks too. And so do the Blues. They are a lame duck franchise going right now, and so are the Bruins. But the Bees come away with the win of the season. Don't let the black and gold terrible towel bumblebee colored original sixth centennial men get hot, because they are feeling it after that victory. It felt, as from a fan standpoint, more of a relief than anything, because as I've said about this team all season long, it's not like they have this huge abundance of talent that you're just waiting for them to figure it out. I think we realize they don't have a ton of talent. And so this win is a relief that you went out and you did something, and that was a nice moment for all of us. But I don't know if it's, Veritek fighting A-Rod and the rest of the season they're going to go on a tear. I don't think so. Now, I would love for them to carry that momentum into tomorrow night when I am at the AAC to see the Bruins take on the much better Dallas Stars. I would love to see that, a Stars team that's coming off scoring 6 goals in the first period against Pittsburgh the other night. That team, who I was afraid might score a dozen against the Bruins on Thursday, but now I'm in belief. I am full of belief for this Bruins team. And by that I mean they could maybe be a 500 team. I think so. And they're 4-1-1 in their last 6. Does that shock anybody? It stuns the hell out of me. Remember, it was 2 against Philadelphia and Seattle, 2 non-playoff teams. You got the 2 shutouts. You lost to Toronto. You beat somebody. You lost again. It's been stringing these wins together. That's been the problem for the Bruins. And it's been beating good teams. That's the problem for the Bruins. Well, you're facing one tomorrow that could well win the Stanley Cup. I thought Dallas was that good last year, and I think they're just as good this year. And they opened up a can of absolute whoop-ass on the Pittsburgh Penguins that is making them rethink blowing up their entire organization, which has been the model franchise in the league for about 15 years now. They sucked last year. They're even worse this year. And the Stars just took them to the woodshed on their home ice to the point where they're like, oh, shit, we might need to let this thing go. We might need to trade one of Crosby, Malkin, which seems crazy, but Malkin's, he's got his 1,000th point. He's got the milestones. It's like, maybe it's time. Chris Letang, love what you've done for the franchise. You battled through a lot. Maybe it's time. Boy, Pittsburgh, they are just a little sentimental there, which you could accuse the Bruins of being the last few years. But the Bruins were not playing really poorly through the first 2 periods. They weren't getting it done. They took a couple dumb penalties, which they always do. But it's not like they weren't playing hard, and they were getting shots on goal, which has been a real struggle for them 5-on-5. They generated some chances. So they weren't playing like complete dog shit, but it was pretty damning when the worst power play in the league scored 2 power play goals against you in that period. That, in fact, it was their first power play goal at home this whole year. And then you went and gave up another one a few minutes later. So that part was disheartening. That part was where we were like, okay, even those of you who say it's not all Jim Montgomery's fault would have to realize through those first 2 periods that, like, they probably need to get rid of him. The players are not responding to it. They're not improving on little things. They're still taking stupid penalties every game. They're not really improving their 5-on-5 offense. A little bit better last night, and they weren't improving their special teams at all. Their penalty kill's dreadful, and so is their power play. It's arguably the worst in the league. And so through all of that, you're like, even if it's not all this guy's fault, and even if we want Don Sweeney gone too, you got to get rid of him. Something has got to light a fire under these guys' asses, and maybe there's a different kind of way to play that can, play to their strengths a little bit. But then they come back and they win 3-2 in regulation. David Pastrnak had the shooter's mentality last night. Do I love taking 10, 11 shots a night? Not necessarily, but 6 or 8, if he's going to be your goal scorer and you are going to force feed him the puck, I'd rather him just shoot it every time. Like that's where I'm at with Pastrnak. Obviously, an insanely skilled player. I'm still a big fan of him. But if that's how you're going to play, if you are going to force feed him the puck all the time, I'd rather him get 10 shots than 4 shots. If that's how we're going to play this thing, which is how they're going to play it, apparently. He also had an assist, David Pastrnak. But first goal in 8 games, like that is indicative of the play style and what you've got around you. Ty Anderson, who covers them for 98.5, made a great point the other day because we've been talking about Elias Lindholm and him being a guy that opens things up for someone like Pastrnak, especially on the power play. And what Ty Anderson said was one of the main thing that the Bruins addressed or were trying to address in free agency was secondary scoring. They let 3 secondary scorers go without replacing them, and they added Elias Lindholm, who plays on the first line, who plays with David Pastrnak. So he says, that's not secondary scoring. That's primary scoring. And moving Marchand down does nothing because he can't score. So you're just running in circles. Again, it's not in a vacuum the Elias Lindholm move that made free agency poor for the Bruins. It's Nikita Zadorov for one, and 2 being you let guys go and didn't replace them. You let cheap guys go and did not replace them. And you're seeing it on your special teams just as much as on your 5-on-5. Because Jake DeBrusk was one of your best penalty killers last year. I was frustrated that he wasn't getting enough points for the skill that I thought he had, but he was a valuable player to you in all 3 zones. And you let him go and didn't do anything to replace him. You had Morgan Geekie on the roster. That's not replacing him. The fact that you let DeBrusk, Heinen, Van Riemsdyk, all of those guys walk and kept Morgan Geekie and replaced them with Mark Kastelik, Cole Koepke, you replaced actual secondary scoring with decent grinders who are not going to give you secondary scoring, but that's not what you ask grinders to do. So the middle of that lineup, they just didn't replace it. And that's why I don't think this is going to be a springboard for anything, because you still have that problem of Morgan Geekie and Charlie Coyle and Trent Frederick. And these guys, they give you nothing. Geekie can't even get on the ice for a team that's ready to fire their coach and their GM because the roster is so bad. And he's getting healthy scratched all the time. It's a complete mismanagement of the roster, but it was a fun win last night. Will they get it done when Cam Stewart is in the building against Dallas? I didn't want to bring this up, but I think it's worth noting that Cam Stewart's 3-0 in Bruins games in Dallas.
Now that you've said it, you're in trouble.
Not great. It's not great.
Shouldn't have said it.
But I have mismatch wins there. 2016, February of 2016, the Stars were marching towards the number 1 seed in the Western Conference, and the Bruins were about to miss the playoffs for the 2nd straight year. Bees won that game 6-3. They were down maybe 7-3. They were down 3-1 at the end of the first period. Came back and won. Just saying. And Dallas was a better team than the Bruins last year, and the Bruins beat them when I was there. Anyway, that's for tomorrow. We'll talk with Matt Barry about that tomorrow too. And we'll have to have some sort of contest on what jersey I'm going to wear, because I'm torn in between like 3 of these sweaters of what I'm going to wear. Probably a cowboy hat with it. Let's see. Pete Souza is coming off a big-time night and really wants to peel back the curtain on Rogue Media Sports Network. Pete Souza is next on the Cam Show.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at 70 miles an hour. I was injured, had a concussion. The insurance company, they delayed. They were playing games from the initial conversation. They weren't going to help me. The biggest thing I learned through this is that you can't go through this alone. I called Daniel Stark. They were going to help me, and everything was going to be all right. Daniel Stark got me 10 times the insurance company offered.
The difference is stark.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
It is Matt Mosley, and it's the Obstructed View podcast, Rogue Media Network. I think they're learning that there's really no wonderful view of me. See, I feel like they think this feed's going to be really wonderful.
There must have been no BS, like 20 scouts, 15 to 20 NBA scouts there to see him, and he was top 5.
When your old number wasn't working, I went through various channels to track you down. So unfortunately, you can never get away from me. But I'm happy to have you today.
Nah, thanks for having me. And you know we always family no matter where I'm at.
I mean, yeah, a new coach comes in, they're going to churn the roster. I think that's just we've got all these transfer portal stats and what Dion did and what Fritz has done. I mean, that's the deal, man. That's the game that's being played nowadays.
Maybe a little bit unknown at quarterback. I mean, unknown to the rest of the world, but you know, he dove into the portal and got a guy who is super, super athletic.
South Dakota State's really good. Give us a little bit of breakdown about what they can do and what Oklahoma State needs to be worried about.
But look at that form right there. I need to say nothing else about this because I found one.
Here we go. Pizza. I haven't watched it yet.
What?
Ask Aaron Hernandez.
Are we really talking about this still? I
We
mean,
gotta watch the final episode. I want to know who killed him.
Do you want to know something funny about? And this is all we'll say about the Aaron Hernandez thing. The story was so alluring. You know, true crime, pro football, everything's involved that I'm into, and I feel like this FX series is like kind of taking the lure away. It's like softened it almost. It's turned it into a joke.
Yeah, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, I knew that as soon as Urban Meyer appeared in this.
Yeah,
it was like this is a caricature.
I don't think I'm in love with this thing. You know, but
not in love with this the way Aaron Hernandez liked men. Did you know that Aaron Hernandez was into men?
Dude, Aaron Hernandez, by all accounts, or at least as far as this by all accounts,
I think he's a fine guy. Yeah.
He was like crazy about men.
Yes. And like, honestly, it got to the point where I was like, the point of these series is to kind of humanize the killer a little bit, whether it's Jeffrey Dahmer or this or the Gianni Versace thing. And I don't mean it as in like we need to sympathize with them, but, you know, kind of bringing in real life aspects that would have drawn a person to this.
Yeah.
And the whole thing, there's a couple episodes about his dad being tough on him, but really it's like Aaron Hernandez is gay, so he killed people. Like, that's kind of the thesis statement of this. You know what I mean? Like, he took some hits in football, and he was so into men, and he couldn't talk about it that he killed people. Like, that's been my main takeaways of this. And that's ridiculous, you know? Like, that it comes to a point where that's insulting.
Yeah.
You know? Like, the guy had some real fucked up things that had nothing to do with his sexuality or football or maybe even his family.
Yeah, well, Dennis, I don't know.
Tough guy.
Dennis and Terry.
Tough guy, man. I know some people who had some tough upbringings, tough parents. They don't kill people.
No, they don't.
Hope Solo didn't kill people.
Who?
Hope Solo didn't kill people.
No,
she
but
tried
she had
to,
it
but
rough,
she didn't kill people.
She's a killer, though.
She's in
She's
some
a killer.
respects.
She's tough, man.
She almost killed her nephew. Had the kids in the car at one time.
Jim
That's not
Rome
good.
used to always play that clip. Like, Hope Solo is here and she's going crazy. Like the police 911 call.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, it's very funny.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about the security guard. Remember that security guard from a few months ago?
Look, I like
It was
the guy.
short-lived.
The guy.
Not the one with the earrings. in the boat, not him. That we like that guy.
There was a guy who talked a lot. Yeah. What happened to him?
He's no longer with us.
So
he was doing stuff like, first off, you had to talk to him when you went down there, which the guy down there now just says, "Hey, how you doing?" It's like, "Great, how are you?" "Great," and then we're good. Which is what this should be. But this guy loved to talk, and to the point where I was faking phone calls every time, like twice a day, because he would just like fucking talk to you, and I'm like, I'm trying to go to work, or I'm trying to leave.
Yeah.
And he really liked talking to some of our female interns. And one time, like, had his foot over the door of the elevator so that it wouldn't shut. Yeah, Mike knows the story. I think Mike might have been there. And he would like talk about guns with everyone. It was just like, this is really fucking weird. This is like really weird. Like, if you're gonna be a dick to a security officer, be a dick to that guy.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's not funny, but like it's
It's unsettling.
In life that happens, and there's idiots like
so
me
Jesus.
who bumble by stuff like that and think nothing of it.
Yeah.
And then the guy turns into like a murderer. You know, and I'm like,
Aaron Hernandez.
Yeah, everybody's like, you should
You meet a guy on Grindr. He starts talking about guns a lot, football, and then he kills you.
There is a classic story about just how stupid I am with stuff like this. My brother Michael and I, this is Philadelphia in the mid to late 90s. We dropped my brother Kevin. Kevin we were all night owls, and we all eventually got sober. But this is a point in time where none of us were sober.
Heyday.
Kevin was going to see Fish down in the city of Philadelphia. We dropped him off at this bar where he was going to meet up with some of his friends.
Turns out it was a koi pond.
The bar was closed at the time. Okay.
Yeah.
So we dropped him off.
How late is this?
This is like, it's probably like early. It's like 11 or noon. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
so it's not open yet.
No, yeah.
I thought you were doing like, it's like 4 a.m.
No, so we drop him off, and we're in my parents' station wagon, so we do like the turn in the big boat, and so now we're facing the restaurant, right at the door, and these two guys come out. They come running out, and honestly, they look like trouble. And one of them has a brown paper bag. I'll never forget. One of them was wearing the old school like Ken Griffey Jr. Seattle Mariners hat, and they just run out. And Mike and my brother, were like, "Oh, that's strange." And then we're about to take the turn, and my brother Kevin runs out after him. He's like, "Did you see those guys?" We're like, he said, "They just robbed us at gunpoint."
Jesus.
And we were like, oh, okay. Like we pulled over. And my brother Kevin, who's our oldest brother, right, our older brother, "You guys are idiots." You know, he's using every word in the book.
Because you just let him run away?
Yeah, I mean, what do I know? I mean, that's like a bumpkin. So bring it back to the security guard downstairs. Like, he could be saying the weirdest stuff in the world to me. I have a nice job of like stuffing things down. I do a nice job of being like, it's just like, it's kind of weird.
I think I do too.
But then he starts freaking out like our interns.
Yeah.
You know? And that's bad news.
Yeah. Like, I'm someone who, like, I don't necessarily shy away from conflict, but I'm like, I have a really high bar for what is going to be conflict. You know what I mean by that?
Sure.
It's like something, like maybe even too much where I'm like, this is a battle, I'm just not fighting.
Yes. Yes.
Still a lot of bullshit in my 27 years.
Well, it gets interesting as you get older.
So that would be like an example of it. Like, he can say the weird shit to me. I'm uncomfortable. Whatever. I'll fake a fucking phone call. But when you start freaking out these like 18, 19, 20-year-old girls, like, I'm like, we gotta stop. We gotta stop.
Here's the deal. But it comes down to us before that happens, right? Like this weird behavior that he is conveying to us.
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. Like, I don't do a good enough job of being like, wait a minute, this is totally weird. Like, I wait till the absolute last minute. Like, the guy could pull out a gun and be like putting it to his head and be like, I'm even thinking of killing myself. I'd be like, yeah, okay, buddy, I'll see you later. I'd be like,
you take it easy, brother.
Yeah. Like, seriously, like, just like, let's make sure, like, I try to ignore it, you know, like, that's not a good quality to have at all.
Nah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah. By the way, Cam, you were, did you like my picture of you in the media room?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, it's the back of my head.
You were the only one in the media room.
This is the only one that was in front of the camera.
Were there other people in there?
Yeah. There's people like a bunch behind me.
Was Bryce there?
Yeah, Bryce was there. Bryce asked the first
question.
So,
talk to me a little bit about
we're getting there.
VJ hits the ground hard. What's that like? And I always feel like he's got like
Dude,
ribs
that
or
was
something.
better at the end there.
He could go back down to like his ribs, like eating something. Like VJ hits the ground hard. What? How long do you think that could last? And he goes for like sweet tea, like that's kind of because I've met Bryce, but like I never really see him. I just hear him most of the time. So that's the vision I get.
That's the vision that I get. Dun, 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 dun. I was killing it last night. 3 questions in the press conference.
So yeah, I think people enjoy this. So what questions did you ask, Coach?
I mean,
This is
nothing,
after Baylor's
nothing
win.
interesting. Yeah. I asked Jaden Nunn if he had ever had a lob threat that also played guard.
What did he say?
He said, not like VJ, but the only 2 that he's had were him and Shaden Sharp. I guess they played at VCU together.
Yeah.
And I asked Scott about the ball movement. They had 30 assists last night, and they only had 22 in the first 2 games. And something else. I asked him.
Everything you
an
were
early
worried about, David K brought up during our radio broadcast.
Probably because he listens to Locked On Baylor every day.
Maybe, but
bet
that's
he
right.
does.
The first thing he started to talk about were the team assists and about how important that was. And the second thing he talked about was the zone defense and how he didn't think we were going to see zone defense for the rest of the season, but they did what they had to do against
It's almost as if I know ball.
Yeah.
It's almost as if Cam Stewart just fucking knows ball. Okay? And they just try to, like, everyone tries to downplay these blog guys, these podcast guys, because they do a podcast.
Yeah.
And behind the curtain, they know ball. I'm not saying I'm supposed to be an assistant coach on this team or anything, but I know ball. And John Jacobs has said as much.
I think you're an exception to the rule. And overwhelmingly, they don't know ball.
Can you see the like the vanity thing there? Can you see the shot?
Oh yeah.
You see me?
Yeah.
Do I look fatter than a fucking house right now?
No.
I'm not over this.
You don't.
Like,
Dude, you don't.
shit, man. Look at this.
Let me say A, that you don't,
First of all, sit up straight.
and B, that I think the presentation today still looks much better.
The presentation looks great.
Oh, why?
Looks great.
That's right. Mike spent the day at home, so he decided that he was going to reinvent the wheel, right?
Basically, but in a good way.
That's my favorite.
Mike was at home taking notes.
But that's
Watch
my.
He's gonna put our, yesterday we had the side by side behind the curtain, right? That's the segment. Yesterday we had the side by side of us and McAfee, and Mike's like, look at all this headroom for Rogue, and now we took away the headroom.
I think that's ridiculous. But my opinion, I think if
because you like how good the studio looks.
Yeah, if you watch McAfee, there's so much room. Like they rarely
But it's not headroom. It's like wide.
Well, whatever you can
like
see.
for McAfee's set, you can see to like 4 feet on either side of him, but there's still only that.
Yeah, but you can see most of his body almost.
Well, but I told Mike we need to put some cameras in the ceiling like they do, so we have alternate shots that show the whole set.
Well, I mean, look,
sorry, Cam, we kind of.
I think
no, that's all right. That was a pure.
And here's another thing. Somebody who knows a little bit about TV, okay?
Yeah, he knows ball. He knows TV.
If you're gonna put the camera on my face, you better know what you're doing with lighting. That's all I'm gonna say. How about that for a dickhead thing to say? But that's just the truth.
We're still working on it.
Like local news sucks for many reasons. But one of the biggest issues that I have with local news is like every shot is like, oh my God. And it's all like insecurity, right? I'm like, God, I'm looking at my face. I look like I'm awful. Like that's like, it's just your face and that's all you see, like a tight shot,
Dude, that was like me the other night. I did Locked On Baylor without the hat on.
Yeah.
It looked horrible.
I think
it looked so horrible.
Pete, I think what you'll find today is we worked on the lighting for the host.
I'm sure it's fine.
I think it's going to look way better, but we need to now fix the lighting where you are.
It doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter, but I think honestly,
you said something, so
I think my show's been looking great. But that's just in time for Mike to come in and change stuff. So that makes sense.
Of course.
Cam, you're not. So Cam's. I'll tell you who looks great is Scotty looks real handsome. Surprise, surprise.
Wow.
Because I've got a computer screen that very conveniently blocks, the parts that Cam's insecure about. You just see my face framed right here.
I need treatment like that. Maybe I need to stop getting high 5 minutes a week.
What do you eat after you get high?
All kinds of shit. All kinds of shit.
How much do you keep in the house? See, that's your
Too
problem.
much, man. Too much.
Like my buddy.
And like I have no impulse control. This is the thing with the edibles. Is like I'll go on stretches where I'm okay. Like I'll get the munchies, but I'll have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and some chips, and I can stop. But most of the time, I do not have any impulse control,
Know who you
and I
are,
will just
dude.
eat anything.
Know who you are. You got to put just like the way that I always have stayed fit and trim, and this is post getting high all the time. Is you come over to my place and it doesn't look like anybody lives there. There's no food. If I want food, I have to leave now. And you got to remember too, I'm not going out to Lebec Thin. Like I'm not spending a ton of money when I go out. But it's a pain in the ass to go to the store. But I can't tell you how often I want to do mindless eating, and I can't because there's nothing there. Now, and it's improved with Christy, right? Like there's more fruit around. For someone like you, my buddy Todd, huge stoner. All he has in his house really a lot of fruit and stuff. So when he gets high,
everything is processed.
Yeah. When he gets high, he's eating a ton of watermelons and stuff like that. Like like the little slices.
Yeah,
and it works out. Yeah.
Because honestly, most of the time, it's not even the taste of it. Like there's some times where I'm like, yeah, I want a cheeseburger right now when I get my cheese. Most of the time, it's not even the taste. It's just eating something.
Yeah.
So I could just be doing like fucking apple slices and peanut butter.
Yeah, I mean, the apple slices and peanut butter is a blast. The problem is, and this is where you become a stickler.
The problem.
Now all of a sudden you're going just straight up tablespoons of the peanut butter, and then you wake up the next morning, and the fact is you had 2,000 calories of peanut butter.
But protein, protein.
Yeah, but a lot of fat.
Yeah.
Like peanut butter is good fat, but a little bit goes.
God, peanut butter rocks, man.
Oh, dude, last night,
This
not
is a good
high.
segment.
But this is just so you know, I'm not perfect at all. I had honey and peanut butter, so I was dipping the spoon. I was dipping the spoon into the peanut butter, and then dipping the peanut butter into the honey.
Bro,
awesome.
That's clutch.
Yeah,
That sounds nasty.
dude. What are you talking about?
I don't like it.
Cam, I don't know what's worse though, because I do not get high, and yet my doctor told me this morning I need to get the snacks out of the house because I've been stress eating.
Well, I used to do that all the time. And I had a good stretch of my life where I was really depressed and stressed not eating.
So
I weighed about 125 pounds.
I was
felt
doing
great.
that. I was doing that 6 months ago.
And then the tide turned.
And about
Then you're like, yeah, I'm feeling good about myself.
about 2 weeks ago, I found myself like every couple hours going, I need something sweet.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's never happened to me in my life. This is like
It's a wonder I've not had a heart attack yet with my diet. Like, it's truly a wonder. I hope it doesn't happen soon because I don't have health insurance right
You need to start walking or something.
I know. I love to walk.
But you
I
don't
love
do
to
it.
walk. And I'm going to keep using the excuse. I live in a fucking industrial park. I don't stop working until 9 o'clock at night.
That's bullshit.
What if
Would you like to shadow me for a day?
What if
Do you know how busy I am?
I know you're
sick of
busy.
the
You're
canned
better at
store
this than
flight,
me.
dude.
You are better at this
No, I'm
than
not.
me.
No, I'm not. I'm not saying that at all. I'm not saying that
And
at
when was
all.
the last time I plighted?
The fact
I've
of the
worked
matter,
on that.
The fact of the matter is, when I like today, my life is a jailbreak, right? Like I wake up, it's one thing to the next.
Yeah.
Now, I'm grateful. Don't be a dipshit, Cam. You don't have kids, and neither do I. And you're not married.
I know.
Wait till that happens, dude. Oh, your whole day is just going to be one constant complaint because your time.
I'm great at
You're going to be
complaining.
running around like my father, and all he used to say was, "My life is not my own." My life is everywhere he went. It was like I was like, "Yo, Dad, chill out, dude." So here's what I'm saying.
Well,
Myself, right? Ever since I stopped doing the morning news, I've gotten better sleep, and my quality of life is like immensely better. But it's weird. I run out of time to work out at the end of the day. Like, so if I go on like a run or a walk, it's like pitch black at Cameron Park, which like it is what it is. But I know, Cameron, that I need to do a better job of creating time in my day to walk. There's one guy that's in charge of that. The guy in the mirror. That's it.
Pete, I've been robbed at gunpoint in this town. I don't have a sincere lust for going walking when it's pitch black.
Guys,
I do get out at 6 p.m.
Scotty,
guys,
I'm just saying.
I know we gotta go. If Cam
I
is
can
the
do
money,
other workouts.
If
No,
Cam's
that's
the-
not the excuse.
guys,
but
this
I'm
is
saying
very simple,
why I can't do
actually,
that.
to me.
Go ahead.
Get to work 10 minutes early and take the stairs.
From where? Floor 5?
We're on the 21st floor
Oh my god.
of the tallest building in town.
That is a great way.
Firefighter?
That's a good start, bro.
I don't want to do it. I mean, I'm not here saying that sounds fun,
I gotta get back to my boxing classes. No, that was fun.
Boxing,
but
yeah,
we have
always
a
is.
built-in,
Oh, so good.
you know,
I never
however
told you
however
that
many
so much.
hundreds of stairs that is up here.
I guess Cam, keep complaining.
I mean,
It makes you the lovable
I'm
guy that you
so
are.
good at complaining. I'm
makes you
really,
the
it's one of the
lovable
things
guy
I'm
that you
really
are.
good at. But I hate doing it. Like this is the real Cam Stewart play. Is I have this urge to complain about things because I find the things to complain about, and then I hate being that person that complains all the time.
You don't complain all the time.
I know that's me limiting it, like truly. But I do bitch a lot. Like I'm not gonna back down from that.
Look, my brain is constantly generating gripes. I just have to shut them down. I have to play
Like
goalie.
there's been something from last night that I've wanted to bitch about to you for
Tell me.
18 hours. But it would be like,
Tell me.
like I'm in my head being like, you ungrateful
Tell
prick.
me.
It was free.
What is it?
The media gets fed at these games. And last night it was a concession stand hot dog.
I know.
And like it's fine. I like hot dogs. You know what I mean? Like I
So, bro, let me take it from
and
here.
that's and I honestly because I think about it, I'm like, the onus really shouldn't be on them to feed us just
Yeah.
because we're here.
Yeah.
We're here for like 3 hours. I can eat before, I can eat after.
Yeah.
You know, so football I guess is a little different because some of you were there all day,
Yeah.
but like it's not an onus on them to give me a great meal.
I mean, dude,
So that's why I'm not bitching.
you know what's next?
But
They're going to give you a ticket and send you to the concession stand yourself.
that's okay.
But
And like
really,
that's okay.
And I'm not saying like that's what's next because
They said
Sam's
chicken.
not grateful. Like that's just what happens more and more now. I doubt that. I think it was a preseason game. Look, I will tell you because they
Would you
usually
correct?
take good care of us.
Yeah.
I obviously did the radio call, so like I didn't eat for that. I was looking forward, right? I saw the styrofoam boxes. I was like, oh, this is probably a great dinner that I can
Like a
take home
barbecue
with
or
me.
something.
Yeah. So I duck in there in the media area while like there's still some of the press is going on, and I look and I go, oh, it's a hot dog. I was like, no way, and chips sprinkled on the side.
A little bit of chips.
Dude, I ate the hot dog. I was like, you know what? It's been
I
too
did
long
too.
since I had a hot
I did too. I was like, you know what? Fuck it.
Yeah.
This is dinner.
But I look the
It will
same
prevent
stuff
me from
ran
going
through
out
my
for
head.
fast food later. So
Yeah.
anyway, Pete Souza, 1 o'clock, Pete Souza show. We'll be back here high noon Eastern time tomorrow, 11 a.m. Central time, and then wherever you get your podcast. This is the Cam Show.
You are here with your shoot first point guard, Corey Dickman.
Also, if you're not creating new fans in a small market, then you're not creating that base of people to go to games and pay for merchandise and pay for stuff and concessions at the Moda Center and yada yada.
Yeah, let's talk draft. That's the only thing we have to look forward to. The only thing we have to look forward to. That's what I will teach my son. You will teach your daughter as Blazers fans. It's like, look, the two most exciting times of the year for us are the draft lottery and the draft itself. Like, here we are. This is our thing. Give me some memories and thoughts. I know you had mentioned kind of the first time you had met Bill. What were some of those first memories that came back when you heard the news?
Coming up on the Pete Souza Show, Rogue Media and ESPN's own King McClure talks with us about the NBA draft.
Team is banged
Are
up
you
a
getting
bit.
undressed while we're
No,
doing this?
no.
What is happening?
And it's partially because the team has like pretty kind
Wrong
of big problems.
podcast, Nick. Wrong podcast. When you're a golfer, what is the point of no return? He was the best play-by-play announcer around, in my opinion, and he made me want to continue to watch.
We definitely love our relationship and love Extraco. It's been an amazing experience.
They made the PPP process easier. They were reaching out to me saying, what can I do to help you? That made a huge difference because my stress level, when we shut down, to afterwards was night and day.
Our experience with Extraco has been phenomenal since the very beginning, so we love Extraco.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people would think that I was lying. That's when I decided to call Daniel Stark. I owe a lot to Daniel Stark. They really got me what I deserved.
The difference is stark.
We are Rogue Media Sports.